Hello everyone, RN here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be going into the Jellyfloat family, but before we begin, I want to give a shout out to my channel members Morgan, Alex Billings, and Oscar Borjas. Thank you for your support, and if you would like to be a channel member as well, click the join button below this video and enjoy. Welcome to the world of Pikmin. Today we'll be discussing the Jellyfloat, Umblota, Onion Shell, and Seedbag families, and we'll begin with the Jellyfloat family. The Jellyfloat family is comprised of 3 members that appear in Pikmin 2, 4, and Hey Pikmin. All members resemble jellyfish, and we'll dive in detail to the lesser spotted Jellyfloat. The lesser spotted Jellyfloat can be seen in Pikmin 2 and 4, and has a blue coloration with yellow spots. If Pikmin are nearby, it'll attempt to suck them up into its torso cavity, but in Pikmin 2 it takes about 30 seconds for them to digest one Pikmin, so you have ample time to rescue them. Like other airborne creatures, they can also be brought to the ground during combat with enough weight added by thrown Pikmin, and upon defeat, they will cycle through the air until they pop into a plethora of sparkling light. An interesting detail is that if they digest white Pikmin, it actually gives no poison damage. If we're discussing the lesser spotted Jellyfloat in Pikmin 4, it's important to make the distinction that they are less dangerous and cannot digest Pikmin at all, and can only hold them hostage. They also cannot be brought down to the ground unless they are frozen by ice Pikmin, where they will shatter upon landing. And here is what Captain Olimar has to note on these creatures. This native Jellyfloat is indigenous to the region. Unfortunately, it is currently endangered as its habitat is being overwhelmed by hostile immigrant species. This note is explained if you go to Pikmin Garden, which is a part of the Nintendo website, where under lesser spotted Jellyfloat, it states, "It has gradually lost its habitat due to loss of food to the non-native greater spotted Jellyfloat." Where if you go to their information, it also states it is a non-native species that has flown in from another region in the wind and has become established. If you'd like to look at that info provided on Pikmin Garden, I'd recommend using the Japanese version as it gets all the updates of creatures from the Piccolopedia before the UK version, but it is a nice little dive if you want extra info on all these creatures. I didn't know Pikmin Garden was a thing until this episode. Next we will go into the greater spotted Jellyfloat that was briefly mentioned. The greater spotted Jellyfloat is similar to the lesser spotted, but has a pink hue and is larger in size. It is able to snare more Pikmin than its smaller relative, and in Pikmin 2 and 4 is still able to digest them. In Pikmin 4 they are slightly more dangerous than Pikmin 2 since they can't be brought to the ground, but if you use ice Pikmin, they can still freeze and shatter on the ground similar to the lesser. Here's what Olimar has to say on this creature. Vivid pink coloration is the most noticeable characteristic of this floating lifeform. This immigrant species is not native to the region, having appeared to have recently arrived on wind currents. The luminescent organ in its head attracts prey, which it then sucks up and consumes with its lower orifice. Unlike jellyfish, the Jellyfloat's tentacles do not have nematocysts, so there is no danger in touching them. For those who do not know what nematocysts are, I did a quick Google search, and it is the specialized cell in the tentacles of a jellyfish containing a barbed or venomous coiled thread that can be projected in self-defense or to capture prey. So there you go. I kept wanting to say nematocyst when I first learned the word, but it is pronounced nematocyst. And our final relative of the Jellyfloat family is the flying spotted Jellyfloat that appears in Hey Pikmin. It is the smallest family member, being close to a captain's size, and instead of suctioning you or your Pikmin, it will attempt to crush them with an orb that is located at the bottom of its torso. If you pass underneath it, it will attempt to crush you. I quite like that Hey Pikmin kind of tries to make relatives of multiple families that were the antitheses of their usual combat mechanics or behaviors. If you want to defeat the flying spotted Jellyfloat, you can strike it with your Pikmin while it is moving towards you for an attack, or after it's landed on the ground if you want to dodge first, as shown here by Hollow, who always has the footage I need every time, which is very nice and convenient. And here is what little bit of log information we have on this creature. Most of the time it floats peacefully in midair, but it will not hesitate to squish any threats. My wife has a similar mama bear quality to her. And that is all the family members of the Jellyfloat family. And we will now transition into the Umblota family that has 3 members, the Clicking Slurker, Luring Slurker, and the Medusal Slurker. Focusing on the Clicking Slurker, we can see it appears in Hey Pikmin in the Freezing Wasteland sector. Similar to Jellyfloats, they resemble jellyfish, but they have a feather atop their head and a tongue appendage that can stretch much farther than the length of their entire body. With this tongue, they can damage you or ensnare your Pikmin to slowly pull towards them, but striking this tongue can bring them to the ground, where you can finish them off with strikes to the head. And here is Captain Olimer's comments on this creature. The warm air trapped within its body keeps it floating. From the air it drops its long tongue to catch its prey. On a totally unrelated note, why the feather on its head? Is it for attracting a mate or something? Up next is the Medusal Slurker. This relative can be seen in Pikmin 3, and it's similar in appearance to the Clicking Slurker, except slight changes in skin coloration, and instead of feathered plumage on top of its head, it has a sprouting dandelion. They can have many objects stored inside of itself, and captures items with its tongue-like appendage as well. While it does not digest Pikmin that it captures, they can become fatalities at the end of the day if they are not saved before sunset. And here is the detailed log written of this creature. Most of its body is translucent and gelatinous. It drifts on the wind using the puff stalk on its head and captures passerbys below with its adhesive manubrium. The purpose of this behavior is unknown, as examining its catches reveal no trace of saliva or gastric fluid on them. Unlike most aquatic jellyfish, it has no tentacles or nematocysts, making it safe to handle. It may even be safe to ride in, opening up exciting new transportation possibilities. You know, that last comment on using it as transportation makes me curious. How many of you would be willing to ride inside these creatures as transportation if they could be trained to go to specific destinations, almost as if like air travel from one spot to another? Let me know in the comments below if you're willing or not. And our final family member for the Umblota is the Luring Slurker. Appearing in Hey Pikmin as a boss, it is a much larger variant of the Clicking Slurker. In addition to its much larger size, it has more plumage on its head, and the capability to freeze water and use ice as an offensive and defensive tool. And I will now show you a snippet of the battle. Once again, thank you to Hollow for recording the entire Pikmin series. If you would like to see the rest of that boss fight, you can head over to Hollow's channel. And up next we have 2 smaller families that we will discuss quickly. First is the Onion Shell family with 1 member, the peckish aristocrab, and its offspring. Appearing in Pikmin 4, as its family name implies, it resembles an onion and has two large false eyes on the front of its torso, while its real eyes rest on stalks above its head. It also has a large pincer that can grab Pikmin it wishes to consume, or act as a shield from thrown Pikmin, except when it comes to rock Pikmin, which will eventually shatter its claw with enough impacts. After the successful shattering of its claw though, its only defensive technique is to blow bubbles that can temporarily trap you or your Pikmin in air. Discussing the peckish aristocrab's offspring, they have the same capabilities as fully mature aristocrabs, but have lower health and are too short to avoid charges from your pet Owachi in-game. They can also be seen burrowed underground. Here is the log we have written by Olimer on this creature's mature variant. Its unnaturally large claw is used for catching prey, for self-defense, and most surprisingly, for its mating call. Most aspects of the crab's life revolve around it, which may explain why the crab becomes fearful and docile when the claw is damaged. It would also account for the claw's remarkable regenerative capabilities, which can restore it completely in a single night. It is also known to blow bubbles when under attack, but that is a result of its venting from the wrong discharge valve when under extreme stress. And the note discussing the youngling as well. A juvenile peckish aristocrab, small in size, its right pincer is only half grown. Because of this, it often hunts by hiding underground and lying in wait to ambush its prey. Generally, crabs pass through the larval stages Zoea and Megalopa as they approach juvenile crabhood. Instead, the peckish aristocrab is born with a body shaped like an onion, absorbing its nutrition through the ground and sprouting legs as it grows. Perhaps it's a close relative of species in the Ambuloradices class. Ambuloradices is a class of creature that have plant and animal characteristics in Pikmin, and it also includes the Pikmin family within that class, if you would like to Google it yourself to look into further. Our final family that we will be discussing is the Seedbag family, with only one family member as well, the Seedbagger. Appearing in Hey Pikmin in the area Echo Cavern, the Seedbagger is a passive creature that resembles sea pigs. With no way of defending or attacking, it will attempt to burrow underground once attacked by Pikmin, but if successfully defeated, it will leave behind plenty of seeds. Here is the notes on this seldom seen creature. These timid creatures are more afraid of you than you are of them. If you can defeat one, it'll send seeds spraying everywhere. It's quite a send-off. Alright, that is all the families to be discussed today. I hope you guys all enjoyed. If you'd like to become a channel member, do so by clicking the join button below this video. I will gladly use the money it brings in to upgrade my mother's shed / my studio. And yeah, I really appreciate all you guys watching, and I hope you come back and I see you next time. Peace.